we've got the Legion Pro 7i with the i9-13900HX and the RTX 4090 175 watt GPU. This has some of the highest performance specs, not quite the most performance, our highest performance specs, because there is the higher i9-13980HX, and there are technically laptops with faster memory, for example. This has DDR5 5600 in it. Overall, this is like 97, 98% as fast of a computer as you could possibly get, or pretty close to that. And it's in a fairly portable package, definitely in the high performance laptop category, given its thickness and weight and the fact that it's a 16-inch display. Asus Strix Scar 16. This was my #1 rated laptop at the beginning of the year. And I think it's gonna be freaking awesome. I think it's a tremendous set of specs versus most of the competition out there. That said, it's not necessarily the best bang for the buck laptop you can buy. You are getting some premium features such as RGB lighting and the really high-end display, as well as liquid metal conductanate on the CPU and the GPU. We've got like a plastic Legion kind of emblem on it. This is exactly what it shipped in. This was the external box. There was only one box. It was not a multi-box setup, but the laptop arrived just fine. As you'll see on the inside, it has foam padding just like the Legion Pro 5 review that I did a couple days ago. So here is, let's go ahead and take this up. Voila. There's the inside. Let's raise the camera up a little bit more. Here it is. We've got the laptop inside of a cloth, like bag basically. It's not waterproof or anything. We've got this like 1-inch foam all the way around the laptop inside of the box. Let's take a look at the power adapter. So here's the power adapter. We've got the cable and power adapter in this box. Here's the cable. It is about a 6-foot long cable, and it is a very thick cable. Very girthy. That's gonna basically allow lots of power to go through the cable. And here is the power adapter. You can see it is fairly small. It is a smaller power adapter than the Pro 5. Let's go ahead and take this plastic off. So 330 watt power brick. We got the Legion logo on there. I like that. Here is the back of it. And this thing is probably the second smallest power brick I've seen so far. Okay, so here's the laptop. Take this guy off. Look at that, you got the Legion logo right here. It's a all metal chassis for the most part. Minimal plastic on it. Maybe some of these accent pieces are plastic. But it feels extremely sturdy in the hand, like a very premium laptop. Lifting it up, we've got this white fiber cloth. We'll put that to the side. So there's the laptop right there. Let's close this for now. We'll set this to the side. And let's go ahead and compare sizes against some of the common laptops out there. The Razer Power Brick is only a little bit smaller. This is the box. This is the design. It's very similar to the Scar 18 box. It's almost exactly the same. Open it up. You got several flaps here. And I think it's this way. Yeah, so you got to make sure you open this the right way up or the laptop will fall out, which is not good. But at least Asus kind of warns you if you're opening it upside down. It says it says like flip over or something. So that's how the box is. That's how the laptop is packaged, just like that. This is I like this packaging overall, and it's not like super high-end premium packaging, but it's not bad packaging. We got a plastic wrap on it, and inside of here we have our power adapter. Shabam. All right. I actually have another power adapter, so we don't need to get this one out. And you also have your exchangeable cab. This will basically let you change out one of the plastic pieces on the back of the laptop. Well, this basically, it's minor. Like you could do some customization with this, like I don't know, painting it or something, if you want it to be blue. But I wish they would give you like multiple color options for this out of the box. That'd be pretty cool. All right, and then we got our warranty information cards here. Quick steps on how to register Thank you for purchasing an Asus laptop. Register your laptop to receive Asus accidental damage protection, I believe. Yeah, accidental damage protection. See, this comes with accidental damage protection. That's pretty freaking awesome. I think this is the only laptop this year that comes with accidental damage protection out of the box. I don't think any of the other laptops come with that. And this should just have a 1-year warranty, I believe. All right, so a little quick setup guide here. Nothing special, really. All right, so here is the laptop. Ultra high refresh rate, 240 Hz, HDR 1000 VESA display, 100% DCI-B3 color gamut coverage, NVIDIA Advanced Optimus, 15-degree lower temperatures because of liquid metal conductanaut extreme, and maximized airflow with a triple fan system and 0 dB ambient cooling if you want to do super quiet gaming or workloads, like if you're in a library or something. So this is Phillips head screws on this, by the way. So all you need is a Phillips head screwdriver to take this apart, plus something to pry the laptop apart. It's not really wanting to pry up very easily. There we go. You really got to use a good amount of force. I'm in there, just barely, not enough to actually get it to open. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit better prying tool. Ah, there we go. Okay, so now we got it up. So you have to use a pretty good amount of force. You want to use a gentle tool, kind of like this, though, like the guitar pick. And then you want to use a more firm tool to get the prying to continue to come up. So yeah, okay, I'm trying to get this part to open right around the vents here, and I'm not sure if this plastic piece goes with the bottom or not. So I don't know if I should pry. I don't know if I should pry on this side of the bottom piece or on this side of the bottom piece. There we go. Okay, so this plastic piece does come up. Right here, it separates. It's separate. This side girder piece goes away with the bottom. All right, that's very important to know. It's definitely not the easiest laptop to get into this year, that's for sure. This is a really well engineered internal system. I really love it. There's so much going on here, and there's so much good stuff going on too. It's like so much, such a great use of internal space. Like, wow. Okay, so first of all, we have this huge vapor chamber. Look at that. Goes all the way across the sides. And we have 4 fan exhausts. So big fan exhaust here, 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 and here with 2 big fans. Love it. We have our CPU here, our GPU here, our VRM coverage right here. We have our SSD coverage here, another SSD right here, and we have our Wi-Fi slot right here. We've got our memory underneath this shroud, and we have a 99 watt-hour battery as well as 2 large speakers. Really awesome interior for this Pro 7i. Some of the laptops this year, especially the more budget-oriented laptops, just not a very good use of the internal space. Where this laptop has phenomenal use of the internal space. You don't feel like you're randomly not getting use of some area to create a port. There's a lot of ports on this laptop. You have the double SSDs. You can access the SODIMM. Obviously, if you were to repaste this, they have a warning here that liquid metal is applied. So you're going to want to be careful when you're opening this up. Obviously, any liquid metal application, you definitely want to be careful. Don't want that spilling onto the motherboard or you can damage things. Love the interior. The upgradability is decent. Taking the laptop apart, not so great because it was a bit difficult. The part that was really difficult was these edges right here. Yeah, this right here, this little lip was difficult because it snaps around the side of the laptop with these little snip-ins. So you're going to need to like kind of get in here and pry it straight sideways, not down, but you got to go sideways and then down all the way around. And that pretty much is how you get into the laptop. And there's a pretty decent amount of ventilation in this bottom chassis as well, so you can get a lot of airflow into this laptop. Overall, really love the interior. It looks like a really well designed laptop inside. We also have our ribbon cable light, or our ribbon light that goes along the front of the laptop. There are no RGB lights in the fans this year, which is a big bummer to me. And the light also no longer wraps around the sides. I wish the light also wrapped around the sides, but it does not. So for this, you just need a Phillips head screwdriver. Nothing too special, but you probably want it to be magnetic, so it's a lot easier to grab the screw. All right, so we're just gonna start going around the sides here. All right, it created a little gap there so that I can get my prying tools in there to get it up and off, right? So makes it very easy to take this laptop apart. All right, so I probably don't even have to take this laptop into my lap to take it all apart, but I probably will just in case. So it's still easier no matter what. Plus this way I get to show off my Into the AM t-shirt. There's a link in the description if you want to pick up some t-shirts. So this laptop, because of the pop-up screw, and because Asus this year removed the ribbon cables, it's so much easier to open this laptop up than ever before. So this features a 3-fan design. Here is the layout. We've got an M.2 right here. We've got a second M.2 over here. So we have 2 SSDs in RAID 0 on this laptop then. 2 M.2s. And that's going to give us faster read and write speeds, but it does inhibit our ability to upgrade the laptop for less money. Because like some laptops are going to come with a 1-2 terabyte SSD, and that's going to basically make it cheaper to upgrade for you because you can have one slot be completely open already. Though if you're going to upgrade both slots anyway, then it doesn't really matter that much. But all right, and then we got 2 sticks of SODIMM RAM. Let's go ahead and take a look at what our RAM is. I can't see the brand of this SSD yet. Oh, it's a Samsung SSD. It says Samsung Electronics in the bottom left. And so we should have 2 of those. And then here's our RAM module. It's SK Hynix, made in Korea. 16 gigs, 1RX8, PCI, PC5, 4800. So this is not super expensive RAM. SK Hynix is one of the cheaper brands, and you might be able to get better performance if you were to upgrade it. Let's take a look at our internal layout some more. We've got our RGB ribbon cable. Our RGB ribbon light bar along this thing here. It's pretty sweet that there's no ribbon cables now attached to the bottom panel. We've got our speakers right here. Ooh, they're kind of wobbly a little bit. That probably helps prevent vibration on the chassis, having this wobble. And then we've got a 90 watt-hour battery right here. We've got, let's see if our Wi-Fi is located underneath our M.2 slot here. So if you're going to upgrade that, you're going to take the M.2 slot away. And it's an Intel AX211 for our Wi-Fi. I believe that was the same one on the SCAR 18. And for our thermal design, I love the thermal design in this laptop. It's phenomenal. We got a triple fan setup, and look at all of the exhaust fins. All right, so we got an exhaust fin, big beefy one over here on the left. We got a huge one along the entire rear of the laptop, and then we got another one on the right over here. Now, if there was any way that Asus could eventually add maybe a 4th fan right here to blow air more directly on these heat fins, like across all of this area somehow, just throwing air out here, I think that would really help their thermals even better. But still, the way this is designed, we have all of these foam ridges that's designed to direct the air from this fan out and across the VRMs and across this GPU right here primarily. But that's going to help keep the whole center of the laptop cooler. And I really love that design. Like, it is one of the most ingenious designs we've seen from a laptop in a long time. And I think this really helps the temperatures on the SCAR 16, especially considering how high of a wattage we're pulling through only a 16-inch chassis that only weighs 5.5 pounds. This is going to be, as far as I know, this is going to be the most performance per pound that you can buy in a laptop. Like, it is the lightest weight, most performance as far as I am aware currently. All right. That may not be true as we go along. Maybe we'll find some other laptops that are very competitive or maybe slightly edge this one out. But this one's going to basically be in the top performance per pound category in the top 5 no matter what this year. It's so good on that front. All right. So examining our heat pipe layout, we've got a dedicated CPU heat pipe that goes to this side. Then we have 2 shared heat pipes, and notice that there's another heat pipe here that overlaps these existing heat pipes to transfer heat and then also utilize the full rear. And that's true on this right side as well. So what the heat basically is going to be generated from the CPU. It's going to go up here, and then it's going to be transferred, and it's going to be dissipated across this whole rear. And it's obviously not going to be as efficient as if this whole heat pipe went across everything directly, but it's still going to be helpful. It's going to help a little bit. All right. And then we got another heat pipe right here that's going to be across the VRMs. And they got a heat plate right here as well on the VRMs. So basically super dedicated, super strong heat pipe layout for this laptop chassis. We've got a dedicated heat pipe to the GPU right here. These two shared heat pipes across the center of the GPU. That's going to help the thermals basically go on both fans, or all 3 fans can help the GPU. All 3 fans can help the CPU, though this third fan really mainly helps the GPU, okay? The CPU doesn't quite get as much help from this third fan because it's not directly over it, but it still will help blowing across the center here. We also have this other heat pipe that is just designed, I guess there's other components here underneath here that they're trying to cool, and they're basically trying to transfer heat from this little loop up to the 3 big heat pipes to be transferred out to the ends and the fins and to be removed from the laptop. Overall, I love this thermal cooling solution. It's probably the best one in a 16-inch laptop right now, I think. And then on top of that, to boot, we have liquid metal conductor on extreme, which is basically pure gallium. So it's gonna conduct the heat really, really well on this laptop. I think we're gonna see some very good performance for a 16-inch laptop. On the right side, we have a Thunderbolt 4 USB-A 3.2. On the rear, we have power adapter port, 2 USB-A's 3.2s, HDMI 2.1, a USB-C with DisplayPort, and then we have our Ethernet port. And the nice thing about these is that pretty much all of these are the top end of their port selection possibilities, except for this one being USB-C instead of Thunderbolt 4. But you do already have that Thunderbolt 4 support anyway. And so it's really not that big a deal. And then the other big thing is, that's kind of a downgrade, is these covers, these little icons, used to light up. So these guys right here in the older version of this laptop would be illuminated with like a white light, so you could find them easily in the dark. I loved that on my 2021 Legion, and it's really disappointing that they took that feature away from this laptop. Now, on the right side, we have another USB-A. Can you see it? It's really dark, but right there we have another USB-A. We have our webcam shutter, and we have our headset port, which is on the right side, which is a bit of a different design. Usually that's located on the left side. And that's our port selection. Overall, the port selection is very good with 4 USB-As. And you got the Thunderbolt support. You've got HDMI 2.1 support. I really like the port selection overall. Right side, we have 2 USB-A 3.2 Gen 2s. And those are going to be very fast for USB-As. But your USB-C over here and Thunderbolt 4 are going to be faster. Now, the Thunderbolt 4 goes to the integrated GPU if you need to do battery presentations. And then this USB-C with DisplayPort 1.4, they both have DisplayPort 1.4. So both of these ports could do 240 hertz to the monitor behind me. If you want to do high performance gaming on ultra high resolution, high refresh rate displays. HDMI 2.1 right here. And these both also have power delivery, I believe up to 130 watts. It might only be 100 watts. I think it's only 100 watt, but the Zephyrus lineup I think is 130 this year. We have a headset port, HDMI 2.1, and then we have a upward facing Ethernet port, and it is 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, and we have a power adapter port. So no ports are located on the back because it's all fan exhaust. Here's the webcam. I believe it's a 1080p webcam, but it's still basically your average webcam quality. It's not as good as a smartphone or anything. I am recording a video right now, typing on the keyboard, talking. You notice that at the top of the screen here, when the webcam is active, there is a white light indicating that the circuit leading to the webcam is activated. So you can know that it's activated. If I flip the webcam switch off, boom, the webcam goes off. And of course the light goes out because that cuts off power to the webcam, so it cannot be used. And then, so you actually have to have this switch physically turned forward in order to activate that webcam. We also have a mic array here for capturing the audio. And you can see the quality, or a good estimation of the quality, by looking a little bit more at the detailed stuff like the Lumix here or the GH5. You know, this webcam is, I would say, slightly better than average compared to some gaming laptops, but it's not an amazing webcam. It's not terrible. It'll get the job done for talking to grandma or getting a business meeting done. But you're not going to look super crazy stylish or super high quality with it. But it'll get the job done. So that's where we're at with the webcam. So here's the webcam. Wow, that is very low resolution. Okay, Asus, this is an area we need some improvement in, okay? It almost looks like there's some kind of like filter effect or something. I am recording the video and it's gonna be so bad. Whoa. Okay, so it's trying to adjust for the brightness. There it goes. Okay. A little bit brighter. A little bit better detail. Goodness. That is not a very good webcam. This is another one of the reasons why I would choose a Razer Blade over a Scar. Webcam, could definitely have some noticeable improvements here. I did not have the volume on 100%, so now it's 100%. Well, so that song primarily tests the bass, and the bass sounded really good. The bass was very distinct, clear, but when the mids and highs kind of came in later in the song, the mids kind of felt a little bit muddled. Let's move on to the next song, Fade a Day on Half-Life. I am very impressed with the bass and the highs. They sound absolutely delicious, but the mids, they just feel a little bit muddled. And maybe that could be maybe that could be fixed a bit with the Nahimic software. Deuce Williams, La 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 Love You. Overall, I really like these speakers. They're far better than the Legion Pro 5. Much better bass, better clarity, especially in the highs. The mids still have room for improvement. I think they're in like the 8.8 range, somewhere in that range. Maybe not quite a 9, but a little bit under that. Overall, they have a good amount of volume. The bass is thumpy. Like, you can feel the bass thump a bit. It's just not quite as much bass as something like the Blade 18 or the MacBook, but and then yeah, the mids and the highs are not quite as clean and as clear as those higher end speakers. So that's kind of why it's just a little bit below a 9. Probably like the 8.8 is where I'm going to give them. Seems very similar to the Scar 18, maybe a hair less volume. But I believe we have this application we can go into, Dolby Access. You want to make sure you go in here, at least you can play with the audio settings. So we've got, right now we're on music balanced. Let me try changing it to dynamic. Well, let's keep it on music balanced and let me play that song again. All right, and I'm gonna switch it to detailed. And I'm gonna change it to dynamic. You hear how quieter the music is? Turn to the dynamic, it's a huge difference. All right, so we're gonna retest that song from the beginning in dynamic because it was that is massively louder in dynamic. All right. All right, next up is Half-Life Faded Aeon, which has a lot of like mids and highs. That sounded really good. All right, La 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 by Deuce Williams. Okay, so yeah, I think the speakers are basically exactly like the Scar 18. Like, I think they're probably the exact same speakers. Moderately high volume, decent-ish bass. You know, there's some bass in there. There's moderately clear mids and highs. Overall, what did I give the Scar 18? I think it was like an 8.7 or something like that, somewhere like in that range. Out of total speaker quality, the Blade 18 is definitely louder and more clear sounding. The MacBook Pro is still king of laptop speakers, but this is still going to fill a room pretty dang well with some decent audio, at least a small to medium sized room. Up here, you can see that we have a Legion Pro 7, 16i RX 8H. We have a little of a GPU, CPU overview. I don't really use these because they don't give enough detailed information. That said, you can see we have 16 gigs of DDR5 5600 memory, i9-13900H. We got a Samsung 1 terabyte SSD. All right, and then underneath here, you can do a system update. I'd use this to update the BIOS today. So we have the latest BIOS update. All right, that's already been done. And when you update the BIOS with the Pro 7i, you just click, basically you check for updates, and then you click download, and then install, and then you have to hit next, and it restarts your machine, does the BIOS update, all automatically from the moment you hit next. So you don't touch anything, and then the laptop reboots, and it comes back into Windows. And so far, I've had no problems with the BIOS updates with any of my Legion products. So that's a giant thumbs up. You do have macro key control, so you can set some macro keys for your inputs. So if you want a series of key presses to happen when you press a certain button. Under power, you can set your battery capacity. It also shows you your battery warranty right here. You have 1 year of battery warranty. Battery is in good condition. We're currently at 95% because I was running it on battery life a little bit earlier today. So it's kind of charging up to the max right now. You have rapid charge, which allows you to charge faster than normal If you want to maintain the longest longevity on your battery life, you probably want to disable that. But if you're in a hurry to charge it, it's no problem leaving that on as well. Overnight battery charging will reduce battery aging by setting your battery to only 80% and then up to 100% by the time morning comes. So that way it's not at 100% all day or all night, which could be really nice if you're going to use your battery life on a day-to-day basis. Conservation mode allows you to extend the lifetime of your battery when plugged in. When you enable this, it keeps the battery to 75 to 80% of the capacity to increase the lifespan of the battery. Okay, so this reduces your overall battery life on a day-to-day basis, but will increase the longevity of your lithium-ion battery because you don't usually want to keep lithium-ion batteries at 100% charge all the time. There's always on USB, which will allow you to charge things when you have the laptop in sleep mode. Okay, that's very nice. You have the Lenovo Vantage toolbar, which you can enable or disable. And I have this disabled. If you accidentally click yes on your Lenovo Vantage when you initially set up, it will put it in there for you, which is probably not great. Legion Arena is, I think, Legion bloatware, I believe. There's another button for it right here. I'm not sure exactly what Legion Arena does. Let's see. Legion Arena, access your entire game library. It wants to update the software, but it sounds like it's another game launcher, which to me is just redundant and a bad idea. So I probably would not use that. I'd probably uninstall that. Under media, you have your camera. Oh, you can adjust your brightness and your contrast of your camera. That's pretty cool. I like that. And then underneath, let's go back. Under hardware scan, you can look at what components you have. Under Nahimic, this is where you adjust your audio. So you can enable or disable this to get more boost or treble. And then under X-Rite Color Assist, you can try to color calibrate your display if you'd like. And there's also, is there Tobii eye tracking on this laptop? It looks like there is Tobii eye tracking, which allows you to use, I mean, is there Tobii eye tracking? I know the 7i had it. I didn't know if the Pro 7i had it. This allows you to expand your view or rotate the camera inside of games based on where you're looking in the game, which can be a really cool experience in certain titles. So X-Rite Color Assist basically allows you to color calibrate your display, and I believe it's color calibrated out of the box. Our settings in here, and I'm going to show you Armory Crate real quick. We're going to do a quick overview. Right here, you have your home button. This is going to give you your different power profiles. You've got silent, performance, turbo, and manual, and there is a hotkey right above the F4 button to switch between these. So I can press this and it'll switch between them. You cannot get into manual unless you go into Armory Crate. Now, inside of Armory Crate, you do have to click the check button to activate it, all right? So once we get into manual fan mode, I have everything set to maximum fans here on the left, and we've got our power limits on our CPU also pushed all the way to the right, 140 and 175. All right, our GPU is also going to be at maximum fan, and there is a system fan in here. You can set the curve for the third fan as well. For our base clock, we're going to do 50 boost, 100 for our memory. So 50 and 100 for our GPU overclock, and that's just baked into the manual mode. I did not set that. That's what Asus does out of the box. GPU mode is in ultimate mode. This is going to turn off the integrated GPU and disable things like Intel Quick Sync and also prevent you from getting good battery life. So you may not want to keep it in GPU ultimate mode. We're going to test in GPU ultimate mode for the sake of the video. It might slightly boost performance in certain games or slightly reduce temperatures in certain games. So we are definitely hitting 100% sRGB if you were to factor that in, which is what you're expecting. Like if you measure with another tool, it's probably going to give you 100% sRGB measurement. And then you're probably going to be closer to 80% Adobe RGB, 80% of the P3 color gamut with another tool. That's maybe a little more sensitive. Now, if we go to brightness and contrast, we got 4.2 nits on the low end, which is very dim. If you're in a dark environment, that's going to be awesome. You're not going to blind your eyes in a pitch black room. If you go to the max 100% brightness, we got 490 nits, which is very close to the maximum rated brightness that Lenovo claims. So they claim 500 nits. So that's good that we were very close to it. Too bad we're not above it, but this is within variance for sure. Like if we measured other areas of the display, we would probably for sure go above 500 nits. We are at 1020 to 1 on contrast ratio, which is, I think, slightly above average. It seems like most of the displays this year have been around the 800 to 900 contrast ratio. So that's nice to see, 1020 to 1. Overall, this is a very good display, but on a $3,000+ laptop, you would ideally want a one closer to 100% P3 and Adobe Color Gamut. That's probably the main weakness of this display. If there was a weakness, that would be it, I would think. 100% of sRGB, 92% of Adobe RGB, and 90% of the P3 color gamut. Now, you got to keep in mind that my Spider 5 Elite underestimates color gamuts by like 8 to 9%. So this is basically close to 100% RGB and close to 100% P3 color gamut. Very good color gamut. This is basically the highest you can test on the Spider 5 Elite for the most part. Our nits brightness at lowest was 87. That's a bit bright on the brighter side. Contrast ratio, very good. Nits brightness on the high side was only 832. Obviously, that's insanely good. Cinebench R23, let's see what we get in a single run. I'm anticipating, we are currently not undervolting this Legion Pro 7i. My understanding is that you can undervolt it though. And I would love to do a live stream tweaking and optimizing the Pro 7i for the most performance with undervolting and overclocking. If that live stream idea sounds good to you, let me know in chat or in the comment section down below. 30,193. That's right in line with what we've seen from other i9-13900HX CPUs. That said, if we get this thing undervolted and overclocked, basically when you're undervolted, it automatically overclocks the CPU. We should be able to get at least 32,000, maybe 34,000 on the higher end. Maybe even a little higher. I have seen some numbers like 36,000 plus for the Legion Pro 7i, but that's Silicon Lottery for sure. So we got 30,307. Let's go ahead and check out our temperatures and our core clocks. So our core clocks right now, our CPU is doing 4.1 gigahertz across all of the P cores, 3.4 gigahertz across all of the E cores. This is good, not amazing. We have seen like 4.3 gigahertz across the P cores and like 3.5 gigahertz across the E cores once everything is undervolted. Our core temperatures are 80 degrees right now across all of the different cores right now. You can see basically our peak temps have gone up to 97 degrees on some of the cores. So we are reaching that thermal throttle target, which is 97 degrees based on the BIOS and the settings that are set up right now in the Vantage software. So we have hit thermal throttle levels. If we undervolt, it will help boost our clock speeds and our performance a little bit more. But notice our power draw was 132. We're also dropping down to 27.8 thousand for our multi-core score there, though we are kind of digging around in HWinfo, which is going to kind of, reduce our score a little bit, right? So 171 watts, 162 watts to that CPU package. That is very high for our CPU power. I'm very curious if you were to tweak all of those settings in the custom mode, you probably would be able to get quite a bit higher because we are seeing that power limit drop down to, 130 watts for the long power limit, which is not enough to really push the CPU to the maximum potential. So initially here, we're hitting the 174 watts. It's probably set to 175 for the maximum short limit, and then it drops down to this 130 power limit, maybe even 125. That's when our temperatures also come really down and are really, really good. Overall, things are looking pretty good. For a non-tuned system, this is performance right in line with almost all the other systems that we've seen. And the temperatures and power limits are also pretty dang good. It seems like our CPU pace job was pretty balanced and that we are not running into one or two cores just instantly heating up to 100 degrees like we were on the Legion Pro 5. So we're going to start with a multi-core rendering. So we got 31,820 for our first run. I've seen over 32 though. Let me go ahead and exit some of these extra applications. All right. So 31,820. That's phenomenal performance for a 16-inch laptop. It really doesn't get much better than that. Starting out here in Timespy, we're doing 175 watts or 174.9 there for a little bit. Now we're down to 165, 170, but only 61 degrees on that GPU during this initial load. Our CPU is also 68, 70 degrees there. That's also phenomenal, especially considering that we're putting 65 watts of power into that CPU right now. That's really, really good. Now, please keep in mind that we do have the Lenovo Vantage default overclocking enabled right now. This is how we're going to test this laptop today, because I think a lot of people are just going to click that overclock button because why not? I think almost all users probably should, because you're basically leaving performance on the table if you don't click it. It should not impact reliability or performance, stability. It just should increase performance with no downsides pretty much, especially if you leave it at the stock 150 core clock, 200 memory overclock. So just know that if you don't click that overclock button, you're going to get about 5% less probably on the score. I'm anticipating with these settings, I'm hoping we can push at least 22,500 for our Timespy score. Maybe even breaking 23,000, but probably not. I'm guessing 22,500 for Timespy GPU. Overall, we are seeing so far consistently pretty dang good on the boost clock, doing 174 watts again. Well, we've seen a few moments where it dropped down to like 160, 165 watts, but that's normal, as the load on the GPU maybe is not always sustained 100% perfectly, and that's typical of video games. So what I'm looking for in this test is a consistently high amount of wattage to the GPU, especially when we have 100% GPU utilization. We want to be seeing typically at least 170 watts of power most of the time as a minimum spec. Like we saw just a moment there for 180 watts. Occasionally we'll see a little boost above 175, but the average wattage we want to see over 170 for one of these high-end spec systems. You know, like the Aura 17X was a great laptop, but we did not see consistently high wattage pulls on the GPU. And as a result, we also saw reduced performance and reduced numbers in games and in Timespy. So it just wasn't a system that was tuned perfectly, but it felt like it could definitely get to the point where it was tuned better just with like a BIOS and driver update. So with this basic overclock, just the default overclock, we got 22,045. So we did break 22,000, but we did not get close to the 22.5 mark. Our CPU score, 15,789. All right, so looking at our performance so far, we're doing 172 watts. Our GPU clock right now is 2070, 2085. It's very good, but we're seeing higher GPU clocks on like the GT77 out of the box was doing like 2200 with the factory OC that it has, and dropping down to 19.9 right now. Our temperatures are very good, but they are a little bit higher than we've seen on some of the other laptops, but they're still pretty good. They're pretty dang good. All right, so out of the box, we got 21,564. 16,396 with a 30 millivolt undervolt. 490 nits brightness on the display. Very bright, good display, but the color gamut's not as high. We get close to 100% sRGB, about 80% of the Adobe and P3 color gamut when adjusting for my color gamut on my tool. The contrast ratio, 1020 to 1, was very good, or a little bit above average, but not as good as the mini LED. The display is definitely not as good as some of the higher end, more expensive premium 4090 laptops. That said, I really love the design of the Legion Pro 7i. It feels very premium. It feels a little bit more built like a tank because it uses a lot of metal, and it's minimal bezel around the laptop. You've got a nice webcam, nicer, a little bit above average webcam, not amazing. Overall, very good experience. And the temperatures that we've seen in all of the games has been very good. We've been getting, the GPU has been in the 75 to 80 range in most of the games. The CPU has been in the, like, typically 65 to like 90 range, but usually in the 75 to 80 range in a lot of the games that we've tested. This laptop to me is the complete package in that it's got really just great performance all around at a very good price. It's got a 16:10 aspect ratio design for the laptop itself. It's got a metal build. The biggest drawbacks to this thing compared to a lot of other laptops is, like, for example, you could save a lot of money going with like the Omen 17. It might be several $100s cheaper than this one. But that's a plasticky build. This is a more metal-y build. You're paying for that. You're also paying for the 16:10 aspect ratio display. You're paying for this almost bezel-less design going around the sides of the laptop. And you're paying for the other features on it, like the per key RGB lighting, the light bar going across the front. I like the display. Overall, it's not as premium as what you're going to get in the more expensive laptops, but the performance you're getting for the money is very, very good. We did see higher performance in some of the other laptops, like the GT77 Titans. CPU default thermals were higher than this. I want to do another live stream. I'm going to do another live stream tuning this Pro 7i to the maximum level of performance. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on that future live stream, the tuning of this machine to get it to the peak level of performance. We're going to undervolt the CPU. We're going to raise the power limits. We're going to max the fans out. We're going to try overclocking the GPU further, more than what the default overclock is capable of. And we're going to see what kind of performance gains are possible when you put your mind to it. I think you could see probably 5 to 10% performance gains for sure in the CPU department, another 5% maybe in the GPU department. And I'd love to try to figure out, like, why did we get so much less performance in Warzone 2? Is there any way we can optimize that and actually get comparable performance to some of the other laptops? In the vast majority of games that we had today, we saw comparable, if not better, performance in the Pro 7i to almost all the other 4090 laptops. But in Warzone 2, for some reason, we were getting like 45 to 50 FPS less than the other top-end laptops like the Scar 18, Scar 16, Blade 18, GT77. All of those were doing so much more FPS in the same areas. So we need to get to the bottom of what's going on with that. It's probably something related to driver or BIOS issues, and it might just require a driver or BIOS update from Lenovo to fix that. It may not be something that we can fix on our end. Can I recommend the Legion Pro 7i? Absolutely. This is a great value for the money. It's one of the best value RTX 4090 laptops that you can get. I do still think that the Omen 17 technically is a bit more bang for the buck, especially if you can get it when it does one of these sale days, like where it goes $200 off. But the Legion Pro 7i sometimes does those sale days too, and sometimes you can get this for less than $3,000 if you get it on the right sale day. Now, if you do decide to buy this laptop and you want to support me as a content creator, there is a link in the description down below which you can use to buy. And if you do buy through that link, it does help support me. But you also got to use a browser that allows cookies to be tracked and stuff like that. So if you use blockers, ad blockers, and tracking blockers, that won't really track it. So that's it. I also want to point out that there are coupon codes to this. I used the coupon code extra5, but sometimes it's like game extra 5 or game April, or whatever coupon code is going on at the moment. I do check Google to look for coupon codes. If I ever go buy a Legion laptop, I just automatically always check for coupon codes. So be sure to try to do that. I'm not sure if that's going to interfere with my commission as an affiliate. It probably will, but whatever. I'm trying to help you guys as much as I can. Another way you can save some money buying the Legion Pro 7i is through Micro Center. So Micro Center sometimes has good deals on the Legion laptops for direct sale, but usually you have to go in store to get those deals, and you can't get those through online. So that's kind of a bummer sometimes. Yeah, and I never get affiliates for mentioning Micro Center, even though they sometimes offer the best deals. So just know that that's my honesty to you and my commitment to you as a reviewer to try to guide you to the best deal at the expense of my own money. I literally probably just lost a good chunk of money by mentioning that. So I want you to know that I'm here for you, and that's my priority, and that's why I think I'm a trustworthy reviewer and why you should trust me. I've reviewed almost every RTX 4090 laptop that is for sale right now, and I think this is definitely close to the top 3 in terms of value and bang for the buck. It's probably not the most premium 4090 laptop that you can get, especially since you can get an 18-inch one or a mini LED one, but if you're on any kind of a budget, this is one of the most attractive feature sets for the money, which I think makes it a fantastic option for you. For those of you that are Legion fans and you're into this style, this build quality, it's a really great laptop, I think. It's hard to find complaints about it. So this is the Asus Strix Scar 16. It features a 1100 nits brightness, HDR, mini LED, QHD 240 Hz display. It's got an i9-13980HX in it, which is an excellent performance, giving almost as much multi-core performance as an i9-13900K. That said, this thing, I could not undervolt it. Other users have been able to undervolt it using throttle stop. I don't know why this one's not letting me. The undervolting software inside the BIOS, undervolting, if you don't know what it is a way to increase the efficiency of your processor or whatever silicon you're using, because manufacturers typically overvolt to ensure stability, where some CPU or GPU components can undervolt and increase power efficiency. That said, we did test today at a 30 millivolt undervolt in everything that we tested, and the performance was very good, matching the Scar 18. Now, matching or beating the Scar 18 in every test that we ran. The keyboard on this is very nice. We've got a nice layout to it with nice extra functionalities. I went over the keyboard earlier. It's got a good feel to the keyboard with decent key travel, but I would say that this is not quite as nice as something like the mechanical keyboard you get on the GT77. It's not as nice as the mechanical keyboard on the Omen 17. But I do like the layout and the functionality. The touchpad is excellent. And for a 16-inch laptop, you can turn on this number pad functionality. And that's pretty sweet. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus. I don't think the camera's going to focus on that. But the touchpad functionality is really nice if you're going to use an external mouse, right? I wouldn't really turn it on and off that often. And it's pretty quick and easy to turn on and off, but it's hard for me to think about it. I usually end up using just the numbers up here at the top. But maybe if you can program yourself to think that way, it would be fine. Style-wise, this is probably the most RGB-ified laptop that you can buy on the market. It's very gorgeous. I did some lights off examples earlier in the live stream. You can see the lights on the front. You can see the lights on the back. You got a light up RGB logo. You can turn all of these lights off for a more professional look if you need to. It's a very stylish, probably the most stylish RGB-ified laptop that money can buy. Now, in terms of performance per pound, this is phenomenal. At only 5.5 pounds, we're seeing the same performance that we saw in the Scar 18, but in a 16-inch form factor. That's phenomenal. Now, the only other real contender for performance per pound would probably be like the Legion Pro 7 or maybe the XMG Neo 16. Those are going to be very competitive, especially if you have the liquid cooler on the Neo 16. But this is going to be one of the very best performance because it's a full watt i9, full wattage RTX 4090 in this one. But you can get this with the 4080 for a discounted price. Now, I did a detailed comparison earlier in the live stream near the beginning of all the different competition out there for the Scar 16. You got the Blade 16, you got the Legion Pro 7, you got there's quite a few of them. And you go back to the beginning of the live stream if you want to go if you want to have me go through all of them. But the biggest advantage to this laptop compared to most other laptops out there is the mini LED display. And it is kind of the star of the show. It's super bright and very high levels of contrast. And that's kind of the big thing. Like the blacks are super black, the darks are really dark, but we did run into problems with the HDR mode when we tried activating it during the display test. You can check that out. I believe a BIOS update is going to fix that problem. Overall, the display is gorgeous. The keyboard works well. The touchpad works well. This area of the keyboard, wrist rest, does not get that hot when you're gaming, so it's extremely comfortable to game for long periods of time. I love that. Now, in terms of premium features, we are missing some premium features. We do not have Windows Hello. This is a plastic overall chassis, right? It's not going to be as premium as what some of the Razer Blade 16 is, right? It's not going to be as premium as like the Alienware M16, because both of those have Windows Hello. Both of those have metal chassis. The Aorus 17X, also a metal chassis. There's a few different metal chassis that are going to be just a more premium, nicer experience all around, I think, than this one. Overall, I love this laptop. I can highly recommend this laptop. It's not quite the perfect laptop, but it's a great all-arounder, and it's priced very competitively, and it's a very compelling all-around package for the money. For as far as improvements go, I want to see a better webcam next year. I want to see Windows Hello on this guy. I want to see the speakers on this are pretty good. They could get a little better still. And so I would love to see a little better speakers. I would love to see a mechanical keyboard on this guy again. Other than that, I mean, it's hard to complain about anything else. The temperatures on this were surprisingly good in most titles, given the fact that it's a full power TDP unit in a 16-inch chassis. The fact that it can compete with 18-inch laptops at all is phenomenal. I think that's my wrap up for the most part. Like if you're looking for a gaming laptop that's going to be lighter weight, that's going to have cool RGB, and it's going to be very functional, there's only a few things to complain about with the Scar 16. And I think so many people are going to be super happy with the performance they get and the display and the keyboard and the mouse, everything. It's just a great all-around package. I can definitely highly recommend it.